welcome back to another M&S tutoring video, and today we will be learning how to convert from the standard quadratic equation form to the vertex quadratic equation form. So in our past few videos we have been learning what the actual vertex form does to transform the base parabola using a, h, and k. But what if you had to graph the equation, but it was given in standard form? Well, in that case, you would have to convert it to the vertex form. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to do that. So on the left over here, you can see the standard form, which is y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. And on the right, you can see the vertex form, which is y is equal to a factored x minus h squared plus k. So the first thing you have to do is you have to group both x terms. So let's use a standard equation over here. Let's say the equation is y is equal to, let's say, x squared plus 2x plus 2, right? The first thing you have to do is you have to group both the x terms together. The two x terms in this case are x squared and 2x. So you're going to have to group both of them together. When you group both of them together, it should look something like this: x squared plus 2x and plus 2 out to the side like this. Now, after you've grouped both the x terms, you have to factor out the x coefficient. What this means is you simply have to take out any coefficient of x squared if it's actually there. So in this case, the coefficient of x squared, the x squared term, is 1. So you don't really need to take anything out in this case. But if the coefficient of x squared was, let's say, 2, then you'd have to take that out of the bracket. Say it was, for example, x squared plus 2x, but instead of a 1 as a coefficient of x, if it was, let's say, per se, 2, you'd have to take that out in your next step. You'd have to write 2x squared plus x plus so and so, right? So you'd basically have to factor the coefficient of the x squared, right? Since we don't have any coefficient of x squared other than 1, we don't have to do that in this step. After you have done that, you have to complete the square inside the bracket. So what this means is you basically have to make whatever is inside the bracket a perfect square. You do this by taking half of the b value, which in this case is 2, right? You take half of that, and then you square it. That's how you make it a perfect square. So in this case, you'd have to take half of the b value, which would be 1. So you do 2 over 2 squared. Because we took half of the b value, we took 1/2 of 2, which is 2 over 2, and we squared it, right? And the plus 2 is still on the outside, right? But now, since we added something to the right side of the equation, we have to subtract it as well inside the bracket. So technically, we didn't really add anything, and we didn't really subtract anything. We didn't really change the equation. So we have to write y is equal to x squared plus 2x plus 2 over 2 squared minus 2 over 2 squared, right? Plus 2. Since we added 2 over 2 squared, which is basically 1, and we subtracted 2 over 2 squared, which is basically 1, we basically canceled that out. So right now, it's like it's never there. Now what we have to do is we have to take the negative 2 over 2 squared outside of the bracket. We do this simply by multiplying it by whatever is over here, right? In this case, right now, there is a 1 over here, right? But since it's only a 1, it's not really going to change. It's not at all going to change anything of -1. So we can simply just remove it out of the bracket. But say, for example, if there was a 2 outside the bracket, you'd have to multiply the -1 by 2, and then you'd have to take it out of the bracket. Otherwise, you could not be able to do that. So since there's a 1, I can simply just take it out of the bracket and write x squared plus 2x plus 1. I'm just going to write it as 1 right now, because 2 over 2 squared, of course, is 1. And -1 plus 2, right? Now that I have that, I'm going to simplify this, right? And I'm going to write I'm going to factor this bracket into a perfect square, right? So I can write this as y is equal to x. If you were to factor, it'd be, it'd be x plus 1 squared, of course, x plus 1 squared, and then negative 1 plus 2, which is, of course, plus 1. So here you go. Now you have it in vertex form. Right now there's no a in the vertex form. Well, actually there is, but it's a 1, so you don't necessarily have to write it because it's just making anything inside the bracket the same thing. So there we go. That's how you transform the standard form back into the vertex form, which could help you graph the parabola even better. That's the end of the video, guys. If you have any comments or concerns, please feel free to leave it down in the comment section below. I'll look to get back to you as soon as possible. Other than that, thanks for watching the video, guys.